Welcome back to Truth Decoded, where we dive into the mysteries that refuse to be explained. It's a clear, cold October night sometime around 1990, somewhere on Skinwalker Ranch, 512 acres of high desert, tucked into northeastern Utah's Uinta Basin. At the edge of the tree line, something is standing there that has no business existing. No clean explanation has ever emerged for what happens on this land, despite trained scientists, military-connected investigators, and government-funded researchers all walking onto this property, and every single one of them walking away empty-handed. It is the summer of 1994, and the Terry Sherman family has just moved onto that same 512-acre property. And within weeks, something is systematically destroying their cattle. Not predators, not disease. The carcasses the Shermans find are drained of blood, their organs removed with a precision that a field veterinarian would struggle to replicate in a clean surgical suite. No tracks circle the bodies. No blood soaks the ground around them. In one documented account, a calf disappears entirely. Not found dead, simply gone. And when another animal is discovered mutilated shortly after, the hide around the wound is cut in a way that leaves no ragged edge, no tearing, nothing consistent with teeth or claws. The Shermans lose over a dozen cattle in roughly 18 months. They report it. The county takes note, and no one has a clean answer. Then there is the animal that absorbs 3 rifle rounds and walks away. The Shermans describe encountering a creature of unusual size near the property, wolf-like in shape, but substantially larger than any wolf on record in Utah. When confronted, the animal does not flee. When shot at close range, it does not bleed. It does not fall. It moves off into the brush and leaves no blood trail, no fur, no physical evidence that it was ever wounded. You can dismiss one strange night. You cannot easily dismiss a creature that absorbs rifle fire and leaves the ground clean. By 1996, the Shermans have had enough. They sell to Robert Bigelow, a Las Vegas aerospace entrepreneur with a documented interest in anomalous phenomena, and the property changes hands for a reported $200,000. Bigelow immediately establishes the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS, and stations trained observers on the ranch around the clock. These are not enthusiasts with camcorders. The team includes physicists, veterinarians, and former law enforcement personnel. What they report over the following years does not simplify the picture. It deepens it. NIDS researchers document orbs of light moving with apparent directionality across the fields at night. Not drifting, not floating, but tracking, as if guided. They record poltergeist-class events inside the ranch structures, objects displaced, equipment behaving erratically without electrical fault. In at least one account from the investigation period, a structured aerial object is reported over the property. Not a light, not a blur, but a craft with describable geometry. The NIDS team publishes some of its findings in peer-reviewed adjacency, careful not to overclaim, but the pattern of reported events accumulates into something that resists a single dismissal. Then the investigation takes a turn that raises the stakes entirely. Between 2007 and 2012, the Defense Intelligence Agency runs a program called AAWSAP, the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program. The contract is awarded to Bigelow's aerospace company, BAASS. Skinwalker Ranch becomes a primary field study site. This is no longer a private eccentricity. This is federal money, federal oversight, and government-credentialed scientists walking the same ground the Shermans walked, and filing reports that have since been partially declassified. The DIA does not fund folklore. The fact that this property sits at the center of that program is, by itself, a data point that the official record cannot easily walk back. And yet, when NIDS folds and the AAWSAP program winds down, neither group publishes a consensus explanation. No mechanism, no source, no resolution. Millions of dollars spent, trained observers on site for years, and the ranch yields nothing that closes the file. In 2016, Utah real estate developer Brandon Fugal purchases the property. The instrumentation improves, the scrutiny intensifies, and the phenomena, by every available account, do not stop. The NIDS team, the DIA, millions in federal funding, and still no clean answer. If you had been one of those researchers walking onto this property, would you have stayed on site after what they reported, or would you have walked? Drop your answer in the comments below, because what happens next suggests the ranch wasn't done revealing itself. Under Brandon Fugal's ownership since 2016, the ranch has been instrumented with a comprehensive surveillance network, not the kind of passive monitoring the NIDS team ran in the late 1990s, but an active, multi-layered apparatus. His team deployed ground-penetrating radar, electromagnetic field monitors, and thermal imaging to study the area's anomalies. The operation monitors radio frequencies to detect a specific signal that often precedes activity, and unlike the earlier NIDS approach, the current team engages in active experiments, launching rockets, firing lasers into the sky, and broadcasting radio signals to provoke a response. This is not ghost hunting. This is a methodology. And what the methodology keeps returning is a data set that credentialed scientists cannot agree on. Investigators have documented anomalies, including unusual radiation spikes, GPS failures, plasma-like aerial objects, and gravitational distortions. A radio signal at roughly 1.6 GHz has been repeatedly detected during periods of high activity, a signal that correlates with UAP sightings and equipment malfunctions. Pilots flying approaches near the Uinta Basin have reported instrumentation failure in the area. The ranch team has cross-referenced those reports against their own data logs, looking for correlation. Some of that correlation exists. None of it has been explained. The scientific tension becomes impossible to dismiss. The Uinta Basin has documented geological peculiarities, unusual subsurface structure, methane deposits, natural electromagnetic variants. Some researchers who have examined the data argue those features account for a meaningful portion of what gets reported. Electromagnetic interference from subsurface sources, ionized gas producing light phenomena, psychological priming from the ranch's reputation, amplifying ambiguous sensory experience into something more sinister. These are serious, testable explanations. They are not nothing, but they do not account for everything. Recurring anomalies, especially electromagnetic interference, odd radiation and heat signatures, and UAP sightings, are not fully explained by any published conventional model. Team members have reported injuries that still defy conventional explanation, which is either the most alarming data point in this entire story, or a sign of how difficult it is to separate genuine anomaly from the psychological and physiological effects of working in a high-stress, high-expectation environment. Both possibilities are uncomfortable in different ways. In 2020, the History Channel launched The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and by 2025, it had reached its 6th season. It is worth noting what that series is and what it isn't. It is a produced television program, built for retention and drama, and it should be watched with that in mind. But the instrumentation it documents is real. The researchers who appear on it hold actual credentials, and the 7th season was scheduled to begin in May 2026, meaning the investigation is ongoing, not archived. Then the government moved. In a long-awaited disclosure, the Pentagon made public the first set of declassified videos and files on unidentified anomalous phenomena, and Skinwalker Ranch was immediately part of the conversation. The ranch was described as sitting at the center of a Pentagon-funded program studying these phenomena, with documented evidence suggesting surveillance of the team's own experiments. A substantial portion of the data, AAWSAP, collected about Skinwalker Ranch remains under classification or in private hands, with participants stating explicitly that a large portion of the program's data is still classified. The silence around those files is, itself, a data point. Whether Skinwalker Ranch ultimately represents misunderstood psychology, classified technology testing, folklore amplified by fear, or something genuinely unknown remains unresolved. 30 years of reported phenomena, 2 major funded investigations, millions of dollars in instrumentation, partial declassification, and the gap between what has been experienced on that 512-acre property and what has been conventionally explained has not closed. It has, if anything, been measured more precisely, which only makes the gap more visible. The ranch does not give you resolution. What it gives you is a location where the question has been asked by everyone from cattle ranchers to Defense Intelligence Agency contractors, and where, as of 2026, not one of them has walked away with an answer that holds. Because Skinwalker Ranch is nowhere near the only place where decades of reported phenomena have refused to fit any conventional explanation. Subscribe for more stories where the answers don't add up.